Good day, I am Andrea Jasmine D and I will be discussing about sickle cell trait and sudden cardiac death under special consideration in safety training. Special consideration. Recent evidence and medical opinion have arisen to identify several important threats to athlete health, of which everyone in athletics should be aware. In special consideration, it is important for us to know this health threat so that we know how to handle it or know what to do if ever we encounter this in the near future. These threats are sickle cell trait, sudden cardiac death, concussion, exertional rhabdomyolysis, and hyperthermia. So the first one is the sickle cell trait. This refers to the change in shape of red blood cells from their typical rounded, frisbee-like shape to a sickle shape. So, yung normal na shape ng ating red blood cells are rounded shape or frisbee-like shape, ika nga sa slide. But if you have this condition, the sickle cell trait, your red blood cells are in shape of a crescent moon or sickle as from the name itself. It is dangerous because it may cause a blockage in the passage and it will deprive the organs in getting blood and oxygen. Athletes with sickle cell trait should be allowed to participate in sports. Even when a player has this condition, they can still join any sports as long as they can because there are really no obvious physical complications. And note that this is not a disease, but of course, the player still needs to show records or just simply notify the coach about their condition. These are the complications you might encounter if you exercise with this condition. First one is the moderate fatigue. You get easily more tired than the usual. Ischemic or ischemia, where there will be a restriction in blood supply to tissues, causing a shortage of oxygen that is needed for cellular metabolism or to keep the tissue alive. Last one is the pain and muscle weakness, because the blood flow isn't regular in here. These are the contributors or the things that may trigger the condition even more if it's just a mild exercise. Heat, because it helps us to feel more tired. Diba, kapag naglalaro tayo sa mainit parang mabilis tayong kinakapos ng hininga at madaling mahapo. Dehydration, because of the irregularity of the shape of red blood cells. Hindi normal yung pag-retain ng water or liquid sa cell, that's why dehydration is also a big factor. Altitude exposure. Here, dahil nga the cells may be clogged because of its shape, the high pressure from the outside when you train in high altitude may help on compressing the vessels more, so mas lalong mahihirapan yung red blood cells na dumaloy. Lastly, asthma, because the person who suffers from the condition may struggle on producing or letting the air flow. And if your asthma attacks too, the struggle will be doubled. Evidence has shown that incidents occur in hard training rather than games, but the cause or causes of athlete collapse are not yet known. Here are the recommended things that we can do if you or your player have this case. Slow buildup of exercise intensity. Just let the body adjust to the exercise, and if ever it already did, just increase the intensity by 10. Allow the athlete to set own pace. Don't push the athlete with sickle cell trait to do the same intensity as others. Let them do the routine or exercise by their own pace because they don't have the same condition. Provide adequate rest, and when in doubt, rest. Of course, if the player has this condition, you can't push them to their limits. They might end up collapsing if you don't give time to have enough rest or recuperate their strength. Exclude athletes from preseason screening fitness test. So wag na natin ipasali sa mga screening ang mga players na may gantong condition because I think they were exempted on it and they're automatically in. But after some athletes died because of this condition, the NCAA may force schools to test for sickle cell trait before joining the competition. Stop activity if pain, unusual muscular weakness, or shortness of breath occurs. So, Huwag na nating ipilit kung hindi kaya. Huwag pilitin mag-training or maglaro yung mga players if ever they experience any of this kasi hindi rin naman sila magpa-function ng maayos or walang improvement na mapapala if they're in pain. They'll only get injuries. Stay hydrated, stay cool. Don't wait for yourself to be dehydrated to the max. Just drink water whenever you want or need to. Avoid high caffeine and energy drinks. Caffeine can cause palpitation, and palpitation may help on the cloggage of the red blood cells on the vessels, and it may lead to complications. Manage asthma. If you're having both of the conditions, try not to do things that will trigger it. Take activities, food, and more moderately. Beware of exercise at higher altitudes and under high environmental pressures. Just like what I have said earlier, high altitudes bring more pressure in our body and it will compress it, and it may lead or cause cloggage of the red blood cells. So avoid activities or exercise that will require you to be in high altitude places. Abstaining from training when ill. It's very basic, no? Huwag nating ipilit kung hindi kaya ng katawan mag-training. There will be no gain if we insist in doing so. Instead, it will just result to injury. Stay in shape year-round so that sudden increases in fitness are unnecessary. If you have the condition, you gotta keep yourself active and fit so that your body doesn't need to adjust more when doing the training. Do not hesitate to seek medical help. If you feel there's something wrong with your body, let it be checked by a doctor or a specialist. Don't wait until it worsens. Sudden cardiac death. This is considered a non-traumatic and unexpected death due to cardiac causes within 1 hour of symptoms onset. It is the abrupt loss of heart function, breathing, and consciousness. The condition usually results from an electrical disturbance in your heart that disrupts its pumping action, stopping blood flow to your body. Risk factors for sudden cardiac death in National Collegiate Athletic Association athletes. Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is the main cause of sudden cardiac death, accounting for 48% of recorded deaths in a sample of 134 athletes, although 17 different causes have been identified. HCM is a disease in which the heart muscle becomes abnormally thick or enlarged. The thickened heart muscle can make it harder for the heart to pump blood. Even there are several other causes, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy still tops it. That's how common it is even with those who are not players. So these are the symptoms of HCM. Chest pain. It will occur especially during exercise. Fainting. It will occur especially during or just after exercise or exertion. Heart murmur, which a doctor might detect while listening to your heart. Sensation of rapid, fluttering, or pounding heartbeats, also known as palpitation. Shortness of breath, especially during exercise. Unfortunately, most athletes who suffer sudden cardiac death have no symptoms before death and no history of family or personal cardiac problems. Pre-participation screening using electrocardiography and echocardiography identify only a small percentage of athletes who may have serious cardiac conditions. So here, even if you undergo ECG and echocardiogram, there will be no certain or guaranteed result to know if you will acquire the disease. Thus, the cost of the screening may not be economically feasible given the relatively small positive findings among a very large population of athletes. In here, it's not really gonna be economically feasible if it will be done in college varsities because the population is big and the cost of the test or the screening is expensive or costly.